Hello church! Here's a couple of thoughts on Mark chapter 16. So my first thought is all about Peter and all the highs and lows that he's been through in his walk with Jesus over the last 3 years. And his lowest low must surely have been after the Last Supper. And at the Last Supper he said that he would not disown Jesus, but he would walk with him even to death. And then only a few hours later he does the very thing that he did not want to do, and he immediately regrets it severely and weeps bitterly. I don't know how he must have felt after that, but it takes a long time to recover from that kind of knock where you feel guilty and ashamed and embarrassed, and he must have almost felt as though he was no longer worthy to be a disciple. But then when we read Mark chapter 16, when it says that the ladies go to the tomb, the angel says to the ladies, they say, "Go and tell the disciples and Peter." And by saying "and Peter," Peter is recognised as for his being a disciple, and he's reinstated as a disciple. And it's just like us, when in our walk with Jesus, we can often sort of make a mess of it from time to time. But we know that forgiveness is free and is freely available. And here's my other thought. Mark's gospel ends like this. Trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. What an anticlimax is that? The end of this amazing gospel, and these ladies say nothing to anyone. And is it even true? Because Matthew and Luke both say that the women heard the news and they ran to tell the disciples and that they were full of joy. So what is it about the end of Mark's gospel? The final few verses at the end of Mark's gospel are not written by Mark. Everyone knows that they're an additional extra, but nobody knows what happened to the ending. Did Mark die? Was he persecuted for his Christianity? Was the page ripped off? We just simply don't know what happened to the end of the gospel. But we do know this, that although it says that the women told nobody, somebody must have done, because 2 ladies had seen Jesus as alive, and now, can't remember how many billion? 2.5 billion people believe that Jesus is alive. The news has spread. The truth will out. The spread of the news of the resurrection of Jesus was not dependent on 2 trembling women or on a disciple who was not true to his word. And the spread of the gospel is not dependent on how we feel, if we're trembling and bewildered, or if we're a bit of a disappointment. It doesn't matter. God's news is out, the news of the resurrection. So, however you are feeling, let's get up, let's get out, and let's announce to the world that Jesus is alive! Jesus is alive! Jesus is alive!